This is the Bush Whisperer coming at you from the most beautiful penguin sanctuary, Simonstown, Cape Agulhas, southern tip of Africa. I recently did a video about habits. Today, I want to talk to you about the nature of change. What is change? Well, we know change when we go to the shop and we spend money. What we get is change, right? That's one aspect of change. It's the aspect of change that most of us engage with every day. It's the way we consider change. Although these days you don't get change anymore, do you? It's all digitally controlled. They're trying to take change out of the picture. There's something there to understand. It's subtle, but I hope you grasp what is being expressed here. It's got to do with the financial system. But when we look at change in terms of the fundamental, the mechanisms of being, for being is the action of change. Change is a consistency. It's the one thing that never changes. The universe is in a constant dance of very subtle change. So the causal principle is continually operating through the spectrum of change. The change seems to bring us back where we started from. Isn't that interesting? The changing of the sun's motions in the day causes us to get back to sunset or sunrise respectively. And so the change repeats itself over and over and over again in a habitual process, forming the pattern of life and the pattern of being through the spectrum of change. And the changes that we experience are very small changes. They're not big. The golden spiral mathematics is how these changes are manifested in the universe around us. This is how the spectrum of life and the spectrum of being brings the greatness and the smallness together in a single act of actuality, so that the fractal nature of the universe and of life can be reflected in the way that the fractal nature of self can be reflected through this experience of consciousness in order for this universe to come into being. So what can we say about change? Change is the fundamental structure of this great dream. The shaman understands this deeply, that the nature of the dream of space and time, what we call dream time, is essentially the action of change moving through ourselves, and that the action of change works in cycles, and these cycles are governed by the principle of rhythm, the lord of time. The shaman dances these rhythms and sings these rhythms in the sacred songs in order to become attuned to the subtle changes and be able to move with the spectrum of change in order to bring about the series of changes within that are desired through the actions of the desire body. This is the basis of all magic, the basis of all occult knowledge and occult practices. Change yourself fundamentally and you change the world. If you change your world fundamentally, you will change yourself. We discussed this in the video of habits, which has got to do with a very deep understanding of the pattern of time and space and of how self becomes time and space. And by self, I mean the true ego, operating through the mechanisms of the persona. It interacts with the self through this universe, through different faces and through different sets of eyes. The great self, the great spirit, interacts through the various different modalities, or the guides, which are intelligent living beings, intelligent living forces that structure the nature of universe and self. This is what the shaman engages with on the deepest level when entering into a trance state, in order to find the truths or find the healing that can become an expression of the truth through the spectrum of change of life, so that we can find balance and harmony within this dance of change, which is the universe. So when you're considering what change is, realize that nothing ever really changes. The change is consistent, and that consistency never changes. And that which is changing is the nature of the change. And so this changeability of universe is actually, it's a static system of change, as incredible as that sounds. It's reflecting something from somewhere else. And it's just reflecting different parts of that something. But it's still the same thing that's being reflected. It's still the same space of consciousness that's moving. It's still the same elements, just presented slightly differently. And that is the illusion of change. This is the fantasy of the great dream of Maya, and the way in which the great dream of Maya relates through ourselves. Listen to the beautiful jackass penguins. I love the donkey song. I took a little recording of the donkey song. I love you more than anything in the world. I'm going to take you for a chocolate pancake in a minute. So recognize that the nature of change isn't what it seems to be. And that nothing in this world, good morning, nothing in this world is static. Nothing in this world is actually real in terms of reality as we conceive of it objectively. The perception of objective and subjective is a human implication upon the spectrum of nature, which is a consistent flow of change that reflects the stability of being, which is the unity of all things, moving through the diversity in order for the balance of harmony to find its expression in life, and that life can become what it is. So take that to heart next time you're observing the changes. What's really changing? Observe your emotions. Observe your thoughts very deeply. Become attuned to the spectrum of change within yourself that's reflecting the universe around you. And understand that there's nothing, Josh, I'm busy, that there's nothing that actually ever changes. That the whole universe is a consistent river that's flowing through you, that's bringing your consciousness field to fruition and producing the matter and the experience of this great dream, which is effectively reflected into the brain through the consciousness field, structured by the thinking process in the mind and embodied through the emotional field in order to produce this apparent representation, this simulacrum of reality, which isn't what it seems to be. And so it seems to be a consistency of change, when in fact it's just a field of vibration. And that field of vibration is all that there is. And the only thing that ever actually changes is the rate of vibration. And that is just got to do with how much of reality we're experiencing at one particular point and which aspects are being revealed. This is the Bush Whisperer coming at you from the beautiful Penguin Sanctuary. Have an absolutely gorgeous day, and don't forget, change isn't what it seems. Observe yourself. Become the change you want to see in the world, for it's not real. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.